Okay. Thank you, everyone. With sorry for starting late. And if you're watching for the first time, welcome to Opinion Boss. And it's my pleasure. My name is Timothy Asotie. And with me in the house, I actually have a guest who happens to be an activist because he has actually used his platform also, his opportunity, to create that information, that guidelines in educating, most especially the youth, African youth, like, okay, this is what the Western world, this is what knowledge is all about. And this is what we as the Black communities, this is what we can do, most especially Africa as a case study, what we can do to actually grow in the society, both socio-economic aspect and in terms of political aspect. So he's actually, he will be talking today from Newcastle, in England. So he is also one of the biggest star that I remember back in the days, like 2-3 years ago, when I watched his audition in I think that was yeah, when I watched his audition, musical audition in Spain, if I'm not forgetting, in Spain, on The Voice, right?
Yeah, La Voz is called. In Spanish, they call it La Voz.
I was. So he was actually, he was amazing. So at least for representing Africa and representing Nigeria to that higher stage in Spain was actually amazing. And the same thing, at least, he's a father, and at the same time, he's actually educating the people massively, sharing his opinion on what good governance is all about, on what religion or religious, as you can call it, on what it ought to represent, and most especially, he focused morely on the youth, on the importance of we as a youth in the society, and how we can contribute to an economic growth of a nation. So I must say, don't forget, if you're watching for the first time, don't forget to share this video, and don't forget to invite your friends to join us. But meanwhile, before I actually bring in the guest in the house to introduce himself as we go on, I just want us to listen to just a short song from Fela Kuti. Thank you. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Opinion Boss. And that was actually a song from Fela Anikulapo Kuti, one of Africa great legend and one of Africa best to date. And don't forget, with me in the house, today we'll be discussing, we actually have a topic that says matters arising. And at the same time, we'll be discussing issues that concerns we as Africa, issues that concern, we might also be using some perspectives, some case studies, like maybe what is happening here in Europe. And he actually lives in UK, and he will also be making some comparison where necessary of what is happening in UK. And at the same time, we will also be sharing ideas together, maybe Nigeria also, as the case may be. Don't forget, if you're following us for the first time, you can like this page, and don't forget, most especially, to share this video. So without wasting time, we want to invite our guest in, so he can as well introduce yourself, and at the same time, what you do and where you live in general.
Yeah, thank you, my brother, for bringing me up to your show. It's a privilege. Yeah, my name is artistically they call me McLevit, and my name is Kenneth. Kenneth Uche, and I hail from the Delta part of Nigeria, Delta State in general, you know. And I was born in Sapele. I lived there all my life before moving from Nigeria to Europe. Spent more than 23 years in Spain.
Wow.
And before moving back to UK.
That's great. That's massive, man.
Yeah.
Great experience, I must say.
Yeah, and you know, I've been into music all my life. Started singing from the church, and from the church I went into secular music. And for the past 21 years, I've been into music. I've always lived on music, been a singer, a songwriter, producer, and I've also dived also into audiovisual production as well, movie making, and a lot of things. You know, produced a lot of songs for Nigerian artists. I've also done songs for MTV in Spain,
Yeah.
and done a lot of things in my life. So I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to do all those great things I've done so far.
That's great. That's great. I must really thanks a lot, man. It's actually my great pleasure, you know, having you around today. At least I must say thanks again for honoring this program.
Yeah, bro, it's a privilege for me to be on your show, to be able to share, rub heads together to really talk about things that matters, you know, talk about our great countries, and you know what I mean, be able to be a part of the greatness of Nigeria, you know. For me, it's a blessing to be on your show. I want to say thank you for having me on your show again.
It's my pleasure, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, bro.
Without wasting time, we actually, I just want us to use this opportunity to share ideas on issues that is actually happening in Nigeria, for example. Africa in general, as well we can show, because it's actually on how we can develop Africa collectively by sharing ideas together. So let's actually have this topic. Actually, it focuses more on Edo State, okay, and at the same time Nigeria, and at the same time we also include the youth in general, like African youth in politics in Africa, using Nigeria maybe as a case study also, and other parts of Africa. Now, recently, we received information about what happened in Edo State, for example, with how a serving governor was being disqualified by his own political party, who gave him an opportunity the last time. So for the fact that he failed to bow to the services of the Godfatherism, so the party now decided to come up with an idea of putting him, like a kind of withdrawing him or disqualifying him from the party. You understand? Right. So in your own perspective, for example, and the most part of it is that when I look at most of the supposed leaders of tomorrow, I'm talking about people of my generation, for example, the supposed leaders of tomorrow, and with the way they go about these politics in Nigeria issues, without really thinking on, like, having this idea of the politics that we are receiving or that we are playing here, is it really for the benefit of we as the people, or how can we change it? And at the same time, just using the Edo State issues as a case study, even online, I can see so many people were like, yeah, he did a great job. Using Oshomolena, for example, he did a great job by disqualifying somebody who refused to bow down for him, you know, in these
Right.
last 4 years. But at the same time, these are set of youths, okay, who ought to like sit down and analyze, you know, sit down and analyze issues based on what will be the benefit of the masses, of the citizens. But rather, they keep defining politics or fighting political issues, discussing political issues based on their own personal interest. Now, with your experience here, you spent 20 something years in Spain before now living the other side of the world, which happens to be in UK. Now, what do you think about those things?
Yeah, I think we have a very deep-rooted problem in Nigeria. I think what we practice right in Nigeria is not democracy. I think it's I'll say self-ocracy, a form whereby a group of people seize power, seize holding a political position as a source of enriching themselves, getting quick on time. You know what I mean? Making easy money. You get my point. Since they're no how am I going to say? They don't play by the rules of the game, so they find this the people see getting into politics as an easy way of going to get money, getting rich, and living large. You see, what we have in Nigeria is very deep rooted problem. I think we have to go back to the creation of Nigeria. It's a systematic problem that we have right now. I think it's not only based on what's happening right now in those states. It's an example of how democracy has failed so far in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to we're going back to history, how Nigeria was created and all that stuff. Let's leave that for now. And before the colonial masters came to Nigeria, we had a system that functioned, right? We had a system that functioned. We had ethnic groups. They had a functioning system. And we lived in peace. We didn't have issues like corruption. We had our own forms of governance. But when the colonial masters came in, they brought something different, a foreign way of governance to our society, democracy, right? Yeah. And we embraced it, and we left our legacy. We left what we had before that functioned for us as a people. We moved away from how our forefathers lived, and embraced a foreign system of governance. And this is the result. The end product is corruption, violence, crime, the high rates of crime. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a mindset issue as well. You know what I mean? Because the ordinary Nigerian sees a political figure as a boss. What's it called? As they see politicians as superior people. In this part of the world, a politician is a civil servant. There's somebody with a mindset to change, somebody with a mindset that wants to fight for the people. Holding the political position is like taking a responsibility on yourself to enact change, to be a voice of the people,
absolutely,
to be a representative of the people. That's what true politics is all about, right?
Yeah.
But the problem in Nigeria is like we see them as godfathers, we see them as something else. That's why I say it's a mindset problem. I think we have to re-educate our people, the ordinary Nigerian citizens, to see politicians as civil servants, as ordinaries, as them. You know what I mean? So until we see these people as civil servants, Nigeria is not going to change. Because what's happening right now, a few selective group of people right now, what they're doing is they're sharing political positions amongst themselves. They're fighting. They're not there to represent the ordinary person. They're not there to represent the masses. You know what I mean? The mindset that they have is to go take and take and take and take and take and take. So I think until we go back to our root and think of how we can rewrite our story, our history, we have to go back to how we started, how our forefathers governed themselves, how they lived in peace, how they lived without corruption, how they served the people. We're not going to have change in Nigeria. I think it's like I said, it's a deep-rooted problem. No matter who gets to the position, they're always going to be the same. We're always going to have godfathers. We're always going to have people who feel that it's their right to be there as governors. They feel that the state or local government is their property. You get my point? Until the citizens stand up to them and demand them to do what they've been placed in those positions to do, Nigeria will never see change. You know what I mean? So I think it's our duty as citizens to call these people to action, because we put them there. And until we had to call them to understand that they're there because we gave them, it's a mandate. It's a political mandate that we gave them. It's like they are administrators of our resources. Absolutely. You get my point? They are administrators of our resources. This is what they are. But the problem is that we've been so systematically brainwashed, and we don't really understand who these people are, and they can step on us. They can decide for us. They don't even ask people before they take decisions. You know what I mean? They think they can decide for everybody. You get my point? So this is a very, very difficult problem to fix.
That's definitely, because at the end of the day, now you're talking about an issue that, okay, it should be the right of the citizens, okay, to demand to demand their civic benefit, okay, and most of this civic benefit we talk about maybe in terms of
it's not even
job opportunity, job opportunity, for example, being a citizen of a country, and the same to talk about security, like for example. These are all your civic right, your civic benefit, being a citizen of a country. Like, okay, these are the basic things that you should have, you know. And at the same time, we live in a system where it's like, if you don't go outside, if you don't go out of the system, okay, you really find it difficult to evaluate, to understand what you're going through. Like you become, let me say, a slave, a political slave, you know, for the fact that you live in a system that enslaves you psychologically, you know. This makes your brain to like blocked in terms of mental reasoning, and you can think like, okay, what am I really doing? You know, being a young guy who have to dance around an old man just because I need 2 bottles of beer. You understand? So at the same time, you saw what people still living with this mentality. Now, going also, we're still talking about the people, you know, and the system. Now, this draw our attention now to the religion aspect. You understand? To the religion aspects in Nigeria, that it's a system that we still have, that it's just a system that the people that live there, okay, no matter how you like, no matter what you're saying, still, many of them still find it difficult to understand, to reason from your own perspective. You understand? Now we talk about the religion. Then we talk about how pastors have been embezzling the people, how pastors have been enslaving the people, you know, enslaving them psychologically, enslaving them in terms of their mental reasoning, psychologically, to the extent that these people now become a tool, you know, they become tools for economic growth, for self-growth of the pastors. That to the extent today, you have pastors that at the end, they all bought private jets, you know, they have big houses, and the people, I want to call them servants, the members can't even feed, don't even have a meal to eat in a day. And when you view it with the European perspective, or maybe with what we have seen so far in the developed world, maybe you can also share your experience from from
Yeah.
Spain and UK, you can see like
Right.
here, I have Catholic churches that they even organize funds. They raise
Right.
funds to help the poor in the society. But we have a system where the poor give to the rich, which are the rich pastors in Nigeria. What
Right.
is your own idea on those things?
I think, like I said, like what I said, politically, we have that's all. It's all something that's been systematically enacted, imbued in us from for decades now. You know what I mean? So religion is a part of one of the reasons why we fail as a nation. You get my point? Because religion, most religion makes your mind, puts you in a box, right?
Yeah,
Stops you from thinking out of the box, and that's the Nigerian type of mindset. Because when you're religious, it closes. You don't see beyond that perspective. That's your religious beliefs. You get my
yeah,
point. And when
yeah,
you're tied in a box and you don't want to see, you don't want to see out of the box. That's the problem right there. So that's where religion. But you see what I mean? This so-called GOs, uh, um, men of God, they seize these opportunities and they understand that people are desperate. People are poor, and that they understand that most Nigerians, in general, we have a very weak mindset. They understand that God is a very special thing in the Nigerian, how am I going to say it? The mindset of Nigeria. We love God, so it's easy to be tricked into anything. You get my point?
yeah,
That's why I said, look at me personally. I was born in a Christian family. I was born in a deep. I was deep in Christianity, a very evangelical family. I enjoyed a lot of it. You know, it was perfect. It was great. But I left. I moved out from religion about 10 years ago because I found that the religion stopped me from my personal growth. You get my point? It took me time to break away from that. You know, I left that manipulative type of lifestyle that religion gave to me. You know what I mean? Because it stopped me from thinking out of the box. And I saw God from a man's perspective. I saw God from a book. You got my point. I saw God from what was handed over to me by those who enslaved our fathers. You get my point.
absolutely.
Before our fathers came in, before the colonial masters came to Nigeria, we had our religions. We believed in God. Our forefathers believed in God. They knew that God existed. You get my point. So they
Yeah,
came in with something that made us. We left what we had, what functioned for us, right? We left what functioned for us, and religion made us see God as. How am I going to say? It's like how am I going to make it made us lazy? It made us see. We saw. We start religion made us. How am I going to say? Put us in a box, and we don't. We believe that everything in life has to be God. Everything in life has to be God. And when you live in a desperate society where people are so they don't have basic amenities. They don't have light. They don't have water. Poverty is high. You see people. They get to God. They search for solutions, and this is where religion comes into. This is where religion plays a role. You get my point. People want easy solutions. People want quick solutions, and because we are also a very superstitious people, we always want to believe something is somewhere sitting on our progress, and so we want to go to ask people to tell us whoever is responsible. You get my point. And when you
absolutely.
depend on man for solutions, you get manipulated, right? You get easily
Mm-hmm.
manipulated. You get easily brainwashed, and they tell you things that you want to hear. They know how. These are commands. They know how to get you to believe in something, and they sell it to you, and they tell you God is going to do this. God is going to make a way, but they don't tell you what you have to do to make things work out for you. So
That's it.
because we have a weak mindset, the Nigerian mindset, the African mindset, the black man mindset is weak. You know, there's something there's something I posted on my Facebook says we hate everything about slavery, but we embraced the only thing that we don't hate is Christianity, religion in general. You get my
Yeah,
point? So if I think we have to, like I said, it's a lazy mindset. It's a lazy mindset, right? You know what I mean? Because it takes a stupid person to want to believe that somebody can talk to God for them. You get my point? It
Yeah.
takes a very lazy mindset to believe that a man born of a woman has a special connection to God. Like, I tell my friends, just as we all have easy access to the air we breathe, to oxygen, we all have access to the godly figure. And to know your father, you don't need a book.
Absolutely.
Because when you base your view on knowing God based on a book, that's when you get manipulated. That's when they tell you God says you should do this, God says you should do that, and that's when they tell you you have to give 10% of your income because the book it's written in a book. You get my point? So that's what I have problem with, because God is everywhere. The essence of God is seen everywhere. I tell people you don't need to pray to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to fast to be successful. You just have to tap from the resources of nature that God has given to every one of us. You get my point? I tell people you have to know God, knowing God according to yourself, not knowing God according to man or knowing God according to a book. That's where religion gets into brainwashing us and making us feel that we need to have a special way to get to God. We need to do something to get favor from God. The world is about 7 billion people in the world today. So how you think God's going to be in heaven listening to 7 billion people crying for him to provide for them? Oh, Lord, I need this, Lord. It's like a father of 20 kids. And all the kids is asking, Daddy, Daddy, I want this. Daddy, Daddy, I want this. Daddy, Daddy, I want this. You have to desire it. You have to aim it. You get my point? Tell people, make sure everything we need in life is already in nature. It's already been provided. So it's left for us to choose to be manipulated by man, to believe that you had to do certain things for God to bless you. You had to go through some routines for God to bless you. You have to fast. You have to come and give to God. God don't work in currencies. You know what I mean? God don't work in currency. So you don't need to please him for him to bless you.
You're right.
You don't need to please him for him to bless you. That's why I tell people, because the resources for God, they're there for us to tap onto. That's what I tell people. So it's like people don't run into a church, run into a man that was born by a woman for solution. It's mind blowing, man. It's mind blowing. This part of the world we live in, for example, you live in Italy, bro, and you know that in this part of the world, these basic amenities that we cry back home, we all have them here. These are normal things. You get my point. You don't need to pray to get a job. You just have to be qualified. You just have to study to show. You know what I mean? You just have to work towards your goals.
Towards it.
That's you don't pray towards something. You don't pray for something to happen. You work. You have to be qualified to get to wherever you want to go in life. You don't get it because you prayed or because you fasted or something, or because the pastor prayed for you. No. I think that, like I said, it's a weak mindset because our people have refused to think. They want a shortcut to everything. When you look at a shortcut to success, just when you get manipulated, that's when people can tell you this is what you have to do. This is what God says. This is what. Come on, man. A father don't need a second person to talk to his son or daughter. We all have equal access to a father. You have access to your father as well, right? Every child have access to his father. So no child has a special access to the father. You know what I mean? So I think religion is a big problem in Africa. Religion, most especially Nigeria. We've all left the practicality of life and to focus on very, very unrealistic approach to success. Absolutely. This is why we're getting manipulated by the daddy geos, the pastors, the bishops, and all. I call them religious pimps. I see them as religious pimps because all they do is take. All they do, take and take and take and take. You know what I mean? Because if the God they believe is so powerful, they won't need your money. They won't ask you to show a seed or prove God. You don't have to prove God. What do you have to prove God?
That is it.
What do you have to show to God for him to bless you? The air you breathe is free of charge. You know what I mean? So how are you going to challenge God with your money that was invented by a man? You get my point? So you can't pay for your life. You can't challenge God by what? 10% of what you have? What you make, you're going to use that to give to God. 10% of what? 10% of bullshit. You know what I mean? So I'm I think we have to. This is why I'm glad we have programs like this where we talk about, we share our views, and we try to enlighten our people about on the realities of life, on what is true and what is not true. You get my point. I want to be very peaceful about it. I want to. I see people are waking up. For example, the coronavirus crisis. It's gone a long way to really show people how we don't need to. We don't need these buildings. We don't need these religious houses. We don't need all these places. We don't need these people.
Sure.
You get my point. So you know what I mean. So even people are scared to going into God's house, not to get affected by the virus. You know what I mean. So that's just to show you that religion is man-made, is a scam. I tell people. I'm not saying there's no God, but religion is man-made to control. That's what I tell people. Religion is man-made to control. And until we open our eyes and begin to think out of the box, we're going to always get manipulated by this con man and fraudsters. You know what I mean? Because I tell people, look, I love going deep into this thing. I tell people, 419 started from the church. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. 419 started from the church, because that's the only place where you put your money in the church, and only one person reaps the benefit. You know what I mean? Only one person reaps the benefit, and that's the so-called pastor. The only people buying private jets, living large. You know what I mean? The church members don't even go on private jets. They don't even fly on those private jets. The religious schools in Nigeria are the most expensive ones in Nigeria. How can I put my money in the church, give my offerings, my tithe to build a church school, and I can't even send my kids to that school because it's so unaffordable? That doesn't make sense. So I think that's why it's a mindset issue. People are still blind. I've seen the most educated people in Nigeria, and they act like they're illiterates. You know what I mean? So how can you give your money to God, and one man takes it to buy a private jet, and you celebrate that man?
Yeah, and you say and from there you can say you give it to God because from your own perspective, you believe that man was sent by God. You know,
yes,
so this is just the mentality, which is really damaging the Nigerian system. You understand? Even now, without wasting time, let's also view this line to what recently, a few months ago or few years ago, we're having this whole issue on Biafra. You know. We're having these issues about Biafra, Republic, Biafra, and so on as a country that they want to separate from Nigeria. Okay. Now, recently, I'm still seeing a movement about this Oduduwa stuff that the Yorubas want to separate from Nigeria as well. Now, the question, because I also know that you even during this moment, you still share some knowledge.
Yeah, my views on how I saw things. You know?
Yeah, you shared some of your opinion, your thoughts on these issues, that what Biafra ought to do, and the same thing about politics in general. Now, what do you think?
The Biafran case right now is a very complicated one. You know, I think we're going the way the people in charge are going about it is totally wrong. I understand that people want to be independent. They want to be able to manage their resources on their own. I understand that point of view, but the problem right now is they're not in the right political mindset. They're not going about it politically correct. That's what I know from what I see. They approached towards trying to have a Biafran Federation of State or whatever you call it. It's very, very aggressive, and that's not the right way to go about it. I tell people, look at that. You can break Nigeria into 20 parts, 20 nations, and call them whatever you want to call them. It's still going to be Nigerians and mini Nigeria. You know what I mean, in Nigeria? Because we're still going to have the same mindset in these countries. We're still going to be the same people. You get my point? We're still going to be the same people, the same corrupt mindset, the same religious mindset, the same rich creep mindset, everything. You know what I mean? I tell you, look at that. We can still be Nigerians and still have a great Nigeria, but first we have to fix our mindset. We have to work on ourselves. You get my point? You want to break away from Nigeria, but you don't have a political party that's been represented in the Senate. You don't have local government chairpersons. You don't have governors or whatever. You don't even have a political foundation. You get my point? You don't even have no representative. All you do is rant on social media. You can't break away like that. You have to have a forum, a political representative where you can sit on the table, and you have to have the people's backing as well. You have to have the people's support.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I tell people, look at that. Before I tell people we can have Biafra right now. The reality of Biafra, we can have it and still be Nigeria. You get my point? We can have it and still be Nigeria. Just imagine if we have a Biafran political party in all the Biafran states as governors, as local government chairperson. You know what I mean? We have the southern states are all governed by Biafra. And we have people, governors, local government chairmen that are not corrupt. You get my point? They're there to serve the people. We have a Biafran states that have the Western world, the first world ways of implementing following politics. Imagine if we have a Biafra governor in Delta State, a Biafra governor in Anambra State, a Biafra governor in Edo State, a Biafra governor in all the other states. Imagine if we have, you know what I mean? You have to start from home.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just wish to have something, and you're talking bad about somebody, and in your house you're dirty. You get my point? Because the Biafran governors we have right now, I'm sorry to say, in the Biafran states we are corrupt as well. We are still the same Nigeria. The only difference is we all speak different languages, but we still have the same mindset. You get my point? The states that are going to be included in Biafra, right? These states are not free from corruption. The local governments are not free from corruption. You get my? I tell people, look, if you want to have, you can still have Biafra right now, but we have to start from a grassroots, start from our houses, start from our local governments, and get to the states. And then you can have a voice. You can have a group of people. You can have states that can now stand up and say, this is what we want for ourselves. You get my point? But now you can't do that because you don't even have a foundation. You don't have a political structure. You can't break away from Nigeria by fighting or ranting or social medias and all that stuff. You have to have a political structure to back up whatever decision, whatever you want to do. You get my point? So look at that. We have to. The problem I have right now is they don't even know how many of the southern states are willing to join the Biafra struggle. You get my point? Because right now, for the leader of Biafra is made it more of Biafra for the Igbos.
Yes.
Because I've seen most of the declarations he makes them in Igbo. He speaks in Igbo. But if you want to get to the people of all the states in Nigeria, for example, Delta State, Edo State, you have to talk in a language they will understand. You have to be friendly. You have to extend your hands to them. But right now, I think like I told you, it's a hard one. It's going to be a hard one right now because you don't have, number one, you don't have the political mandate to make a decision. You have a political mandate to want to sit on the table and have a dialogue with Nigeria, for example. You don't have it because we don't have a local government. We don't even have a local government, a Biafran local government. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we don't even have anything to hold. You get my point? And the current Biafra leader we have right now he's like a king to people. You get my point? I want you to compare that to Mandela and what's his name? Mandela and Martin Luther King, for example. They were humble people. They were down to help people. These were people who were like they acted, they behaved like ordinary people. But the Biafra we have right now, the leaders of Biafra we have right now, they're acting like they're kings. You get my point?
Absolutely.
You know, so you can't win people. if you don't calm down so low like them, you have to calm down low and get to them. You have to have a political agenda. You have to have some kind of, how am I going to say, some draft documentation of what you are fighting for or what your goals are. You have to have a forum where we have to have a dialogue amongst ourselves and want to have something to hold on to. You know what I mean? Until we have these things, we're not gonna have the dreams of Biafra still gonna be in the air. You know what I mean? Until we have these things, you know what I mean? Because you have to have a forum. You have to have a forum where everybody is invited. You get my point? A forum where everybody is represented equally. You know what I mean? So it's like the Biafran thing is more like a one-man team where we have a king. You know what I mean? We have one man that's kind of that's like how am I gonna say he's more of it's more like a traditional ruler or something like that, you know? And that's not how it works, you know. I tell people we can have a Biafra and still be Nigeria and decide on what our future is gonna be. You know what I mean? We should have a voice. You should have a voice. You should have the support of your people. And that's the only way we can decide to say, all right, let's make a decision to break out of Nigeria or whatever they want to call it, you know. We must have a clean house.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. No, I will still leave the floor for you. To what I will understand is that in Nigeria, they registered. Okay, they registered in this association that as Biafra. And at the same time, I think with the sum of 500 each. And I think that is like a monthly dues, because I came across which I can show the images now. And people from America, I noticed that they paid even up to about 5K in Naira, you understand, every month. Okay, and at the end, now we're complaining about how religious, how the religious leaders are enslaving the people, you know, extorting money from the masses. Because these are developing countries, for example, where we still have max level of poverty, where we still have numbers of youths unemployed, where we still have a system that doesn't function. You understand? Now, somebody who said he is a savior and he feels that, come on, the pain of our people is out of hand. I am bringing in an idea of how we can build a country that everybody will be equal, that will serve for the interest of the people. And what he's doing now is he is automatically putting in a fees that you have to pay this to support this. And we on just like what you say now, just like a traditional ruler, because we noticed, we can see, we saw what when he was around the other time when he came to Nigeria, it was even more or less like it was more than the Oba of Benin and the Oba of Yoruba, for example. So you see everybody was even like bowing down, like slaves, like, you understand. And at the end, you ask me, what type of interest or what type of people is such person representing? Or is it just rebranding the new style for personal embezzlement?
It feels like more of a selfish approach to the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because if it was something that's like more of the people, you're more concerned of the people. I think we will see, like I said, we'll see the Biafran Association or whatever it is get involved in projects starting from how am I going to say, grassroots projects that will help uplift poor people, that will help uplift, because we can collectively contribute and make ourselves great. You know what I mean? We can put our money into projects to grassroots projects that'll bring people out of poverty, that like we can shame the government. We can do that ourselves. You know what I mean? And that's the way, because the only way you can win people to yourself is to show them love. You can show them what you can do, that you can do better. We don't have to. You can't win people by talking. You have to show them through action, kind gestures. You know what I mean? You
Sure.
have you have to be practical about it. You have to show some. You have to show. You have to have proof of what you can do. You know what I mean? Because we have
Sure, man.
people coming to before getting into political positions, they make promises and all that. They say we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and they get as soon as they get into power, they're still the same people. All they do is embezzle, embezzle. You get my point. So you can. I thought you can. This what's it called? The Biafran Federation with the support of the public can create grassroots projects that will uplift the people. You get my point. So let's imagine how many Biafrans we have in the diaspora. We can all give even £10 each, for example, $10 each or whatever it is. You know how? Just imagine we have about 3, 4, 5 million Biafrans out living outside Nigeria, for example. Multiply that by £10. You know what I mean?
That's
We
a
can
lot,
create
man.
projects that will uplift our communities, grassroots projects, and this is how it starts. So it's all this talking and talking and talking and talking without even having anything to show for. It's not going to go anywhere until you can give the people an alternative form of lifestyle. They're not going to support you. You get my point? I tell people, look at that. There are many ways to win people to your side. You don't have to win them through your talk. You have to win them through your actions. You know what I mean? You have to show them that you are ready. You're able to put your life on the line for them. That you're ready to serve. That's what, you know what I mean. So I think Nigerians are not stupid. You know, people are not stupid. No. People are not ready to put their lives on the line for any project that's baseless without a foundation. You know what I mean? But as soon as you come up with something tangible, something that's practical, and people see that you mean good for them, these people will support you. They'll put their lives on the line for you. You know what I mean? We're talking about evolution. Let's talk about Showore, for example. Showore, for example, he had a good life. He had Sahara Reporters. And this guy came down so low, left the United States of America and came down to Nigeria. This guy came with intention to fight for the masses. But what happened to him? I tell you, Showore, for example, you go to his Instagram account, a stripper, a Nigerian stripper has got more followers than Showore. You know what I mean? So there's a problem in Nigeria. I think
that is
like I
the
told
area
you.
when we come to the youth attitude in the society. That is the area we'll come in. That in Nigeria, you see even the stupid people things that you can. There is nothing that you will even benefit from it. These are the people that have millions of followers. You understand? But
Yeah,
those who mean good for the benefit of all,
for the people.
those who mean good, like, okay, there are things that aren't working well. Let me try to fix these things that benefit the people. You know, then what happened? You don't even see the youth support. For example, we're not even talking about the age people now, but the youth, we're talking about
Yeah,
21st century youth that ought to understand what's up, but you don't see them supporting such growth. You understand? Just like you talking about now, the
yeah,
Sowore issues. This is somebody that left the United States, came down to Nigeria, and
yeah,
he came in with the good intention. He preached, you know, he make the people understand the real facts that this is a country that, from the let me say, from the political point of view, our leaders paint the country to be a poor nation, and he is saying that, come on, guys, we don't even see all those resources that we have in this country. They don't even have them in US. You understand? And I can still bet, even here that I live in Italy, for example, here, the country or the government, they work by task, but they work by taxpayers' money. You
right,
understand? Like, for example, at the end of the month, I have my task being reduced in 3 forms. Then that 3 form is one is
right,
for me, one side is for me, the other side is for my region, and the last side is for my community here. You understand? So my tasks go to the
right.
community, my tasks go to to the region, and you see the whole thing. And why in most of the African countries, like Nigeria and so on, we have all these natural resources. You understand? We are blessed. The blacks countries are blessed, but still poverty is still increasing every day. You
You
understand?
know, you see, sorry to cut you short, bro. Like I said, it's something that's been implanted in us. It's a mindset issue, and we still see ourselves as inferior to this people. We, like I said, we had to start teaching our this generation, these of this generation, to understand that these people are simple administrators. Their job is to be of they're there to serve us, right? And they've been voted in to be our voices. You get my point, but the problem is like we've allowed them to take hold of a nation, and they sit and just decides for us. We have the mandates, you know what I mean, but we don't really use our power to make change, because we're more than them. I don't know how many politicians we have in Nigeria. Maybe let's say we have 200,000 politicians in Nigeria against 100 and something million. They don't stand a
190,
chance
let's,
against us.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They don't stand a chance against it. The problem we have, we're too scared to go out there and demand. To get my point, we're too scared to go out there and demand. We so much value our lives. We so much value our food. We're living in poverty. We're suffering and smiling, and we just pray, oh God, it's gonna make a way. Let's pray, God. We don't pray. You don't pray for things that you do by yourself. You don't pray for things that you know what the cause of that problem. You don't pray for things that you can fix. You get my point? You have to take actions. You go there and take actions and say, this is mine, I want it back. You don't pray for a thief to give, you know, a thief that's just to stole your car. You have to go through that thief and say, this is my car, bring it back to me. It's mine. You don't pray for the thief to bring it back to you. So we know we know our politicians. I tell people, look, if you want change to come to your country, to your community, to your local government, go to the door of your local government chairman and ask him, where did you get this money? You just bought a Bentley. You're building a house right now. Why? Where did you get all this money from? You have to go and start asking questions, and you have to demand answers as well. You get my point. But the problem is we're so comfortable in suffering, and we don't really, when we so much value our lives, and we're so scared to go and get what is ours. You know what I mean? That's what I tell you. It's a lazy mindset. It's a weak mindset, and religion. That's all. It's part of of what made us the people we are today. You know what I mean? Because we become so lazy. Because everything we everything that's negative about us, that's happening about us, we always want to pray about those things. You know what I mean? We have to demand. It's our responsibilities to go out there and demand. You know what I mean? We have young youths, we have people that are strong, mentally capable of going out there to stand up and speak out against corruption and injustice. But the problem is like we don't. These people we're sleeping giants.
sure,
You get my point? I was
yeah,
expecting so Red when he came out with his intentions, and he demonstrated his intentions through actions. He showed that he could be a good leader. You know what I mean? He went down low, so low, and became like the ordinary Nigerian. You know what I mean? He had this good life in America. I would stay back home. I don't care about the people. But he came like as a sacrificial lamb and was ready to put his life on the line. But you know what happened? I just said, oh, we don't need you go. We're gonna pray about it. We don't need a hero right now. We're gonna believe in God for that. You know what I mean? That's the mindset where we're depending on God to come and help us do the things that we can do. You know, I tell people, look, when you're hungry, you know where to go to fix yourself a plate. If you're hungry,
sure,
you know how to go cook yourself a meal to eat. You don't pray for God to fill your tummy. You
to
know what I
feed
mean?
you, yeah,
If you must eat, you must. How am I going to say? You must find a way to provide for yourself. You know what I mean? So that's in life. Everything comes with a price. Nothing comes for free. You have to sacrifice something. A lot of people are going to die in the process of trying to change Nigeria. You know what I mean? So we have to. I think we have to rethink about what we want for ourselves, because Right now, we have all the resources. We have everything it takes to be a rich nation. We have everything it takes to be a blessed nation. But we are living, or how am I going to say, we're living as if we're poor. You get my point? Because we've allowed a few people to treat our resources as if it's their private businesses. They take, and we don't even ask them
We don't
why
even
they
ask.
do the things they do. We don't even stop them from doing. We know these places. We know their houses. Get my point. I tell people, look, one of these days, come on, man. I want to see a mob of a gang or crowd go to a local government chairman and set a fire on his property. Hey, we
Sure.
bought that with my money. The car you're driving right now is the money that was supposed to be used on the road, fix the road and stuff like that. The money you're using right now was supposed to be used for a school or a hospital or something. If you're not going to put it there, we're going to burn your house down. There's nothing wrong about it. You get my point? Until we hold them responsible, we're not gonna go nowhere in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say, we're gonna pray from we're gonna pray for years, and we're still gonna have the same condition every time. No matter whoever gets whoever is holding a political position, we're still gonna have the same mindset. We're still gonna have the same mindset. We need a drastic form of revolution. Like I said, we have to define ourselves. We have to go back to the drawing board and define what we want for ourselves as a nation. We have to redefine everything about Nigeria is a scam. I'm sorry to say that. Everything about Nigeria is a scam. Even the name Nigeria is a scam.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that. Nigeria, because we didn't give ourselves that name anyway.
No,
Nigeria.
just
You know what I
it
mean?
just came from River Niger,
You
and
know, they gave us the colonial
the
master
English people just decided to say, since they used Niger company, so they decided to say Nigeria. So that was just
that's
how
not
the
even
name
that's
just
not
came
even the
up.
complete that's not even the complete. The meaning of Nigeria is Niger area. I
Yeah, Niger
swear.
area. Yeah. That's what I'm saying now.
Niger area.
Niger, Niger
Niger
area.
area. You know what I mean? So it's like we're too big to be given a name anyway. They just came out and say, "Oh, guys, this is what we're gonna call you from now, Niger area, Nigeria." We say, "Okay, thank you. We're gonna accept it." And oh, take the Bible, take religion, Islam, and all that stuff. Oh, thank you very much. And we left all the good things we had, and they took it back, brought it to Europe. And you know what I mean? They brought all the things, and we follow this. Oh, this is the book of God. This is the way God wants you to get to Him. You have to follow God. If you don't follow God, you're going to go to hellfire. If you don't do this,
In
you're going to go to
fact,
hellfire. You
yeah.
know, slave obey your masters.
Do you know why? Do you know you know one thing? One thing when fine, I was born into a church. You understand? At the same time, even my dad, my mom were once a deacon in the church, for example. But when I
Yeah.
came here, I tried to evaluate the Christianity in general. I understand that there is something missing about Nigerian Christianity. You understand? Like, for example,
Yeah.
now, here, the people, you see, there are names in the city. People are always remembered every year for what they did in the
Right.
society. You understand? You see images everywhere. They say this person he died 1980. This one died 18th century. This other guy died 1718. You
Just
understand?
give me a
This was
second.
what he did. Yeah, it's all right. Then this was what
No,
he did. Okay, this was what he did, and this was what he did during those years. But what do we have in Nigeria? You understand? We have set of people. We have set of people who every day what they do, they just pray from morning till night. They give the little money that they have. They give it to
right.
the pastors. Okay, they give it to the pastors. In it just with this mentality, this slave mentality that I'm going to heaven. Then the pastor will make you believe that on earth they don't need anything. But this pastor
Yeah.
will take your money to buy a new car. Most of the some of the expensive cars in the world are being driven by Nigerian pastors. This set of people, some of them will have 2 private jets, but with the poor people's money in Nigeria. You understand? I remember back then when I was actually growing up, there was this church was actually collecting money. They said they want to build a school. They want to build a secondary school. It would be like private secondary school that everybody will come and can attend, blah, blah, blah. I know how much my family spent. They donated, in building that school. Guess what? After the school were built, none of the church members was able to afford the school. Now, what happened? The same school that was built with the church members' money now returned to politicians' kids' school. So only the children of the politicians who, the same time, they are the people stealing from the federal government, stealing from the government, stealing from the masses. These are the same people who were able to afford the school fees, and they send their children to this school that was being built by church members. And now, let's also use example of what about a covenant school, like for example, the Oyedipo Winners Chapels University in Nigeria. It's one of the most expensive universities in Nigeria. But these were universities this was a university that was built with church members' money. But only politicians' children can afford the school fees. You understand? I guess we're having a problem with your mic.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a mindset issue. People should understand that the church is a collective. Whatever money that's being generated from a church is the collective resource of everybody. You know what I mean? So whatever is being spent or built, created from that resources should be equally shared amongst the members, right? If you're building a church school that's meant to ease, I'm gonna call it ease, make it easy for members of the church to send their kids to school free of charge. That's one of the purposes of church, the church owning a school. But nowadays, what we see is that schools built by people's money, the collective contribution of everybody. The members cannot even afford to send their kids to. Why? Like I said, it's a mindset issue. You know what I mean? People have, we are so comfortable in leaving everything for God. And we think whatever we do, we just doing it to God. And we forget to ask questions. We forget to ask for changes in the churches. You know what I mean? Because if a pastor takes the collective contribution of 1 million members of the church to buy a jet, before he makes that decision, you should ask the members of the church if that's the right decision to do. Buying a private jet is the right decision to do. What is going to be beneficial for the church, for everybody. But the problem is that we don't really take our time to ask these questions. That's what I have problem with. Like I said, it's a mindset, a weak mindset we have back, lazy mindset. We always want to leave everything for God. We don't want to be responsible to whatever is happening around us. We just want to be silent. Oh, don't touch not minority. But he's living large and you're saying touch not minority. He's going through private jets and you're saying touch not minority. He's driving on a Bentley, you say touch not minority. You threaten the church, you just give your hat in money. Collectively, everybody give their money, and that's one person is spending it on himself, and you say, touch not minority. You get my point? So people should start thinking out of the box and start seeing things for what they are. It's common, you understand me? If everybody is, anybody that gives money in the church, as soon as you give money in the church, you become a stakeholder of that investment, which is the church. And it becomes your legal right, moral right to demand, to ask, to gain from that resources. But the problem is like a few group of people, a man and his family, they can, because they tell you, oh, we have access to God, we are the man of God, we are the servant of God, so we can make decisions for you. We can spend it our ways the way we like to spend it. We can leave large off of the money you gave. We can live like kings on earth and you get your rewards in heaven. Hallelujah. And people will be silent. You know what I mean? The problem there is like people, the pastors of nowadays, they treat the church like it's the personal business. They talk as if they're some kind of super God and people see them as angels or supernatural or human beings. You get my point? People see them as so special. Oh, he can do whatever he wants with my money because he's my pastor. You come on, how come you can't get the things they get? How come you can drive on a car on the Bentleys they have? How come you can fly on the private jets they fly? How come you can send your kids to the schools that you spent your money? How come you can afford to you send your kids to a church hospital bill from your pocket? You know what I mean? So people should start asking these questions, but the African mindset, it's a very weak one. I'm sorry to say, man. I'm sorry to say. This part of the world, things like that don't happen because people are going to get mad.
Yeah.
You can ask me to say, "Oh, I want to build a school of $2 million and after building the school, I can send my kids to that school. You want me to give you 10% of my money, and I can't have access to the resources of the church." You know what I mean? So it's a difficult one for me right now because I'm trying not to explode because there are a lot of things that are mind blowing about Nigeria. I think we have a very deep rooted problem. We have to sit back and rewrite the history of that nation, starting from a name or whatever it is. We have to rewrite, go back to our roots and say, what is it that we're doing wrong? You know what I mean? What is it that we're not really doing right? What is it that we did wrong? Because we embraced everything from the West, right? It's cool.
Sure.
We embraced the language, we embraced religion, we embraced everything. And even the West, when they gave us free education, give us the build schools and all that, free of charge. So
Sure.
many benefits, so many good things that came with religion, you know what I mean? But we embraced it, took it and turned it upside and we made it our way. We made it to suit us. Our pastors now started acting like gods. You know what I'm back in the days, the missionaries that came to Africa, they came like servants. They came to serve. They went to communities and they served. They ate with the people. They served the people. They were there for the sick and they were there for the hungry. You know what I mean? This was the mindset of the missionaries that came to Nigeria. Most of them I know back in the days, the ones with a good mindset. You know what I mean? But now what we have is the opposite. You get my point? We have people living off the collective contribution of everybody. People making profit from God's
Sure.
business.
Sure.
You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Sure,
They're
bro.
taking and just living off of it, and they do whatever they want to do because they believe, oh, I'm a man of God. I can do whatever I want to do. You know what I mean? A pastor buys a shoe of $1,000, and you got the members of the church are hungry. They can't even feed the family the 3 square. I mean, you spend $20 million for a plan when you would have you could have spent that money on creating business opportunities for your members so
God
you can
bless you.
have them all
Yeah.
employed. And
Yeah.
because the more you spend, look at that. I tell people, look, this church can make a change. The change we're looking for in Nigeria can start from a church. But because majority of us religious leaders are all into business, religious business, they don't care about the people. You get my point. You build a church of 100,000 population. There's a church in Abuja that's about 100,000 people in that church. You build a church of 100,000 people. To say that's cost about maybe $250 million. Just imagine
Sure.
putting $250 million in Nigeria, converted to Nigerian currency, creating business opportunities, and imagine how the employment you would create from that. Putting
I guess
250 million. You know what
I
I mean?
guess
So it's like that would help the members come out from poverty. That'll make their lives better because the more business opportunities you create with the church, the more people will give more money to that same church, and you begin to create more business revenue opportunities for your members. That's how you enrich the body. But the mindset is like they spend it on materialistic things. They spend it lavishly on constructions, mega buildings, expensive materialistic things that they don't need, selfish for their selfish gain. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of problem. I think it's a deep mindset problem that we have to start asking questions. We have to start thinking out of the box. And religion is not even helping much, man. Because when there's like this, in the Bible, it says where there is light, darkness cannot comprehend it, right? So the more churches we have, the more darkness we have in Nigeria. So that tells you God is not in Nigeria. You get what I'm saying? So
sure.
that
Sure.
shows that the presence of God is not even in Nigeria. Because the more churches we have, the more corrupt the society becomes. The more people want to get rich quick. People are not ready to get themselves to succeed. People want to look up. People look up to people that don't have. They don't have a genuine source of revenue where to make their monies from. For example, you go on the Instagrams, you get fraudsters with millions of followers, and you have people who are genuinely making efforts to survive and make money, creating business opportunities. You see how many followers they have. They have 100 or 1,000 followers like that. But the people who are not productive, they corrupt people, stealing other people's money, they have more followers. You know what I mean? So imagine if 2 million people can follow a guy like Hush Puppy, for example.
Yeah.
So that's to tell you 2 million Nigerians. Nigeria, how many million Nigerians do we have? We have about 200 something million. That's it. 2
Yeah.
million Nigerians, 2.5 million Nigerians are following a guy like that. That's to tell you we have a long problem. We have a long way to go. We have a very deep mindset problem, my brother. It's
Nice.
Nigerian problem. It's going to take years to break, man.
Sure, man. Let me just, because maybe in 10 minutes time, I think we should be through from here. Now, before we go to the last question, that we'll talk about changing the mindset of the youth, which actually is so much focus on the youth, because I believe the age generation, they are almost passing away now. So if we want Nigerians to survive or to become a strong country, or if we want Africa to progress, we must work on the mindset of the youth, which the youth needs to change their perspective, their thinking towards certain issues that are not on the right track. Now, before coming back to the mindset, actually, let me just try to read some suggestions and at the same time some comments as well. I have a prof who is actually a prof from Germany. He said politicians should be elected by the people, and giving back such honor by serving, okay, and giving back such honor by serving a nation and its citizen, which means to give back such honor is to serve the nation, the citizen. Unfortunately, being a politician opened doors to a lot of business cases that need to be hidden. We need more transparency regarding the activities of the politicians. As long as politicians do not offer or support such transparency, they still see the necessity to hide something. Politicians ought to be personally responsible for their action during their services, even in a retrospective. You understand? Which here is trying to say that politicians, which means they should be questioned and they should be responsible for their actions if they fail or not. And we also have also, he said, what should God buy by collecting money, okay, by the collected money during services? That is the question which many Nigerians face to understand. When a pastor is collecting money, so he said he's giving it to God. Then the question is, what will God buy with such money? Is it going to create another heaven, or is it going to expand the hellfire, according to what religion said? So, which a question that is yet unanswered. So we also have actually your friend, which is Oziebejo Gobadia from Spain. Yeah, he actually commented and he said, great man, Big Daddy McLevit, respect. Okay, and Prof also said again, the youth of 2020 need vision to believe in. Such vision should display peace, respect, equality, and freedom. Then these visions need to be communicated, just as what you said, McLevit said, and on the grassroots level, and thereby maybe have their origin in public schools and within the families. The youth of today represent the changes of tomorrow. Without educating our young generation, we not be able to see a sustainable and positive development in the future, just like what I was saying. And when we were discussing about issue on what, when you said the youth needs, it is time they need to be asking questions, but it's just because they are very afraid. Ozegbe also, which is a very close guy, he also said, he said, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Nobody wants to die.
They forgot in the same Bible where it was stated that faith without work is dead. Okay, I think thanks, Ojegbe. I must say, and thanks to everyone for your comments. And we just have 10 minutes before before we call it a day. So I just want you to tell us what is your last advice. You see what people are saying, because tomorrow belongs to the youth of today. And if the youth of today are being misled, okay, automatically tomorrow will become worse than what we have today. What is your idea? What is your advice to the youth? Your microphone. No. Still, I still can't hear you. No, no.
A second, let me see. I hope my battery is
okay.
still this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, you know what I'm saying. So I think it's something that has to be, it has to be a grassroots form of mind reshaping. You know what I mean? From forums like this where we can freely dialogue, and we can show the world to Nigerians that are living in Nigerians how we live in this part of the world. You know what I mean? It has to be a gradual progression. We can't force them to see things from our perspective, but we have this forums like this where we can engage them through dialogues, where we can tell them what what's it called, how life is lived in this part of the world, where we can share our experiences with them. You know what I mean? True. I think we have to get to the war zones as well. We have to go to Nigeria. We have to, like I said, we have to be involved in grassroots projects. We don't have to do only. It's not all about talking. It's about getting involved, personal involvement, where we have to go show them how things function in this part of the world. It doesn't have to be through politics or anything. It has to be through projects. We have to create projects, no matter how small it is, no matter how many people you get to. But we have to start a systematic mind reshaping. They have to begin to just think out of the box. People have to see things differently. I tell people, look, we have all the resources it takes for us to be great. If one of the major things I tell people, look, if we want to be great, we have to go back to agriculture. We have to go back to how we started, how our fathers lived, how they invest 100% in agriculture. I tell them, look, until we are able to feed ourselves, we cannot have a great Nigeria. You know what I mean? We have to focus on what is important, self-development right now. You know what I mean? Because we're living in a very consumistic society where all we do is consume from the West. We buy. We only consume, but we don't produce. We don't create. Our creativity is very low. You know what I mean? So what I'm doing, like I said, we have to start from a system, because politically we don't have the backup. We don't have our people who are ready to, in positions right now, who are ready to support us, who are ready to push an agenda for change. So it has to be based on personal growth. We have to start projects where we can enact people mentally. We can make people begin to think about out of the box. We can make them see that there's another option. You know what I mean? We have to make them understand that there are other ways to become successful. We can through hard work. We have to put it back to Nigerians that it takes hard work to succeed. You don't have to cross over to become successful. There's no way you can jump over to success. You have to work the work. You have to pass through hardship to get to something. You have to be ready to get yourself to succeed. You know what I mean? There's a process to everything in life. We have to make them understand that life is all about consistency. We have to create something, creativity. You know what I mean? So that's what we have to, like I said, no matter how small it is, we have to go find time to go back home and create forums like this where we can publicly talk to our youths. You know what I mean? Because they're the future of Nigeria, and the only way we can change Nigeria is to get them involved. To get my point, I know it's a hard one because it takes it's going to be hard to break the kind of stereotypical Nigerian mindset where everybody wants to go get it. Everybody's crazy for success. Like they don't even care about how they go about it. They just want to make it. I make it. They don't care. That's why you see people reach money, reach wealth, and other things fraud everywhere and all that, because people we've lost the foundation of how to succeed. We've lost the honesty in us. We've lost that humanity in us. We've lost all those aspects of our lives. We don't really have love. Because you know what I mean? Because when you have true love in you, you don't take what is not, you don't covet, you don't really see somebody else's resources. I want to take it. When you have love in you, you don't do those things, something that will hurt your neighbor. When you have compassion in you, you will not do anything that will put your neighbor in jeopardy. You know what I mean? That put your
Yeah,
neighbor down. You get my point? So I think
definitely.
it's a selfish approach. When you have love, you're not selfish. You know what I mean? Look at the Bible that says, love your neighbor as yourself. When you love your neighbor as yourself, that means they get what you get. You give them whatever you wish for yourself, you will wish that for them as well. You know what I mean? I think
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
foundational for growth has to be based on love. You know what I mean? Love, 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 love. You know what I mean? Because when there is love, there's no division. When there's love, there's no corruption. When there is love, there is no we don't have all these negativities we have around. You know, when there's love, you always want to share. You always want to uplift. You always want to you always see the good side of everybody, the good side of everything. So I think the absence of love, which is the foundation of what we need in Nigeria right now, and is where we can go back to grassroots development, and we have to create forums. We have to find a way. We have to find a way because the people back home, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
not going to do it, man. I think it takes people like you and me who have lived in this part of the world. We've seen how things functions, how it's possible. Because we live in a society right now where they don't have the best of everything, but they have the best life. You get my zero resources, but they have the best of everything. You know what I mean? For this part of the world, for example, we have limited sunlight, they have limited rainfall, but they have water, they have constant electricity,
That's
uninterrupted electricity. So I
that is
think
that is the
so. It's like
best.
so we need to get involved in Nigeria. We have to, no matter how difficult it is. I know it's going to take generations. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's going to take. I don't want to sound negative. I don't know. It's going to take maybe 100, 200, 300 years to turn Nigeria into the country that we want it to be. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be in our time. I don't believe it's going to be in our time because there's a lot of damages has been done in that country. It has to be a progressive mind reshaping. There has to be, like I said, we have to rewrite our history. That's not for us to do. You know what I mean? But we have to. We can push those agendas forward, but it's not for us to do. You know what I mean? So we can rewrite our histories, our textbooks, what we've been told, and you know what I mean. So we have to go back to the drawing board. It's a long process, but we can do it, man. It's a long
That's
process.
true.
We can do it, but it takes
I believe that, man.
putting ourselves on the forefront and make it happen, man. That's how I see it.
That's that's true, man. Thanks so much, man. I must really appreciate. And at the same time, I want to thank each and every one of you out there for your time, for staying, staying on till now. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to follow us on this page. And at the same time, don't forget to share this video. This is all about Opinion Boss, and we have today we have we gained the opportunity to have Mr. McLevit all the way from Newcastle, UK. And it was really, really a great time having him around today. And don't forget to follow us on Saturday. Actually, on Saturday, we also have a program with an author who actually wrote a book on racism. And he will be joining us on Saturday, 7 p.m. to also share his ideas and talk about his book. He based actually in Belgium and will be joining us on Saturday. And at the same time, before we go, let me just try to, before you say goodbye to the listeners, let me just try to share this idea because you talked about being a productive individuals rather than just being a consumers. Like for example, recently I follow us on some informations that some movement that is currently going on in America with this Black Lives Matter. And so I even see recently there are some artists,
Right.
musicians who are currently they are not doing this orientation, this movement on by 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 Black Paths. For it's a movement that now they are doing because
Right.
research recently made it available that the blacks in America, they at the end of the year, the money that they earn, okay, at the end of the year, money that comes in, it amounts up to about 1.3 trillion. 1.3 trillion. okay, dollars. And among
Right.
that 1.3 trillion, they only spend 3% of that resources within the Black community. So which means
Right.
97% of that resources is being spent outside the Black range. Now, if you not spend it outside the Black
Right.
range and you are protesting Black Lives Matters, the question is, do you invest in your fellow Black to grow? So if you don't invest in your fellow Black business, automatically, how can you reduce or fight racism? You understand? So that is actually a new
Yeah.
movement that is currently going on. So what is your
Right.
last word for the listeners?
Yeah, I want to thank you all for staying awake too. Um, um, spend time with us, and I really want to say I appreciate your time, and it's been a blessing. I want to thank my brother Timothy for this great opportunity to share, rub heads together, and I think I'd love to come back again and we talk more and more on this. And I want you all to go out there and search McLevit, an artist. I'm an artist. I do R&B, and very soon I'm going to be having a program. It's going to be called the McLevit Show. I have it already, so it's going to be a more entertainment forum where we're going to talk about music. It's more about show business. It's going to be a little bit of politics in it, but it's not more like a political forum. It's more about entertainment where we are going to be more. We are going to focus more on growth as well. We're going to focus more on self growth, and we're going to have fun. And in the process, we're going to help ourselves grow. So it's the McLevit Show. That's you can search for that on Facebook, and got my songs on Spotify as well. So you can search for McLevit on Spotify. So I need more plays on Spotify to get paid, you know. So I want to thank you all once again, and a big thank you to my brother. For those of you that are not, following my brother right now, just please try and subscribe to his channel, Opinion Box, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. And thanks so much for your time with us. And we do hope to have you anytime and any moment.
Thank you
Thank
so
you a lot.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bless
So
you,
for the
bro.
listeners, have a great evening and we hope to see you guys on Saturday. So for now, we'd say goodbye. Thanks a lot.